Okay, so you've been on the internet for the last few days, you've probably heard about MangaDEX and how a series of copyright strikes took out hundreds and hundreds of chapters of manga. And I've made my feelings pretty well known with this channel about like reading scans and things like that. I did a whole video you can check out right here. But it goes back to the preservation of story. And I get where people are coming from of like, well, hold on, wait a minute. Scans are taking money away from publishers and the authors. And yeah, I get it. But what about the stories that they're not going to publish physically, or they're not going to reprint, or they just aren't thinking about? They're just going to go into obscurity. They're just going to disappear. And I think that's why I'm okay with scanned websites. If you can see behind me, listen, I also really love physical manga. I know, I know that's probably shocking, but the reason I'm okay with scanned websites and reading scans and things like that is for those stories that you just kind of hear about through the grapevine. You hear about on the internet, and you can't just go to a Books A Million or a Barnes & Noble or an Amazon and get a volume 1 or a copy of the series, right? Does that mean those stories just disappear? And if the other option is no one's ever going to read your story ever, you know, which one is better? And I think everyone's going to have different opinions about that, and that's fine, but I don't know. It's just tough for me, right? And of course, I do a manga YouTube channel, and I put panels and all of these things, use clips. So copyright strikes, listen, I've dealt with them before. Listen, this is not new for me. So maybe I'm a little bit weighed on one side or another. But the way I look at it is, you can discover an author's really popular work that maybe is unlicensed on a scanned website, and you really fall in love with it. And guess what? That author might do another story, and that's new and can pick up traction. And that way you can support the author by, oh, I know this author. I, read this story a long time ago on the internet, and now I can support them. Because obviously the big publishers and stuff have pushed this other story to the side. They're never going to really deal with this anymore. But I can still support the author this way. And maybe their new story can pick up steam, pick up popularity, and they get compensated through the physical prints of that story. Or, like we've seen time and time again, I mean, Baki is finally getting a release here in North America. A story gets discovered on the internet, and it builds up a lot of hype, and the publishers see, well, this is a really big story that, a lot of people are discovering through the internet. Let's re-release it. Let's make it a different edition. I mean, we've seen that time and time again with manga. I think that's why scans are so important. And again, I've talked about this before, so I don't really want to rehash stuff. But I really want to talk about the MangaDEX things because it was so incredibly wild. I mean, there's Reddits right now kind of going through and telling you exactly, which series have been affected. And obviously the series like, your Sakamoto Days or your Viz series, that they have digital apps, that have subscription services. So obviously they want to strike those series down so you can kind of come over to their service and read it more legitimately. And that's fine. That's fair to me. If the publisher is offering a digital service or a digital alternative and you can read your series there, obviously always support that because you're supporting the author in general. But my biggest point is, what about the series that just fans have done these scans and translated, and it's just from the love of the fans of it? What about those series? The series publishers don't think about. The series that no one has ever heard of. Do those just disappear forever? I don't know, it's kind of tough, right? Like, it's tough to think about stories that maybe I've never even heard of, that I would absolutely love. Now, when I see it in a random comment of a YouTube video, or I just stumble across like a panel or some things on the internet, instead of being able to kind of Google it and try to find it, and maybe find a new series that I can make a new whole video about and other people kind of discover it, and that snowball effect of it, the more that they copyright things and the more that they make stuff kind of just disappear, I don't know, I think the hobby and manga as a general is worse for it. That's my personal opinion. Because at the end of the day, I think we're all manga readers and stuff. We do it because we want to find stories that connect with us. And I think the more stories that are out there and the easier they are to access, the better it is for everyone. You know, and that's why, like, I think digital manga and digital subscription services, relatively, if Shonen Jump starts being like, hold on, a lot of people are using our service, we could charge more money for it. That's not great. Look at Netflix. You know what I mean? Hey, within reason. Don't go crazy. $3 is a really good deal. It was $2 originally. It was a $1 upcharge. I get it. But as long as they make it easily accessible and you can tell your friend about a series and it makes it easy to just, experience stories. That's why we love this stuff. I think it's why I love it, is discovering different series. I mean, there's always going to be the big popular series. I love them too, your Jujutsu Kaisens, your Sakamoto days and things like that. But, I believe, and I have no actual proof to back this up, but I'm just going to say that I believe this. A series that just got published, they were 11, right? Finally got a physical print. Who's to say a manga publisher would have taken a risk on physically reprinting that series if new fans had not been discovering it for years and years and years? It's the same with Baki that we're getting now. It's the same with Ashita no Joe. Like, all of these older series or little hidden gems, and they don't have to be super old, you know what I mean? But just like little hidden gems that kind of gained this popularity, whether it be through the internet or just word of mouth or just for some reason through the osmosis of fandom, this series becomes a topic of conversation. I think scan websites and being able to read them is part of the reason that we get reprints of series, that we get new releases of stuff. And I don't know, man, I just really hate the idea that there's going to be stories out there, and it already exists. There's already going to be stories out there that someone has experienced, and and we won't be able to. That's really the point blank period of this whole video. I think it's a bad precedent to set of just, we're not going to license this stuff. It's just in our vault. Hey, we're just going to close up the vault, and people are not going to be able to experience stories that might really connect with them. And I totally get the copyright stuff, and you do want to support the author because the author created this work. And especially in today's times with it's pretty hard to be an artist and then create stuff in today's world. I don't know if you know that. I don't want to bring it down, but it's really tough to create stuff now. So of course you always want to support the creators out there. But I can't speak for them. It just seems like, I would imagine that they would want people to experience their stories instead of them just fading into obscurity. And it was a really tough hit. Like I said, I've used that website before, and I totally get the big popular series getting pulled, but it's just those hidden gems that are going to be collateral damage in all this that it's really going to suck to not be able to experience those stories. But I don't know. I just wanted to make a quick little video if you hadn't heard. You might want to check MangaDEX. Maybe like your little hidden gem series, this probably might be gone. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. I apologize. I'm sure you've heard about it before this video. But yeah, man, I don't know. I wanted to make a quick video about it and just kind of say my stance on it. That I believe manga scan websites are important to just the preservation of manga stories. And, I hope that they can figure out a lot of this stuff. And honestly, my biggest hope is that a lot of series that people really hold dear can kind of get physically reprinted. Because at the end of the day, I love physical media. But yeah, hopefully this wasn't too much of a downer video. I apologize. But yeah, man, as always, I appreciate you guys who made it to the end of this video. It means the world to me. And I hope If you're having a bad day, it gets better. If you're having a good day, it becomes fantastic. I'll see you next time.